Today we're going to be taking a look at the Ronin-S from DJI to see how well it gets along with Panasonic cameras like the GH5 and the G9 in terms of functions and follow focus accuracy, and I'm also going to show you a pretty cool trick it can do. Let's get undone. What is happening, everybody? I'm Gerald Undone, and I recently got my filthy mitts on the DJI Ronin-S, which is a gimbal that I was pretty excited for because of its advertised compatibility with the GH5. Now, there are quite a few reviews on this gimbal already, but most of them focused on the more general performance of it and left me wanting to know more when it came to how it interacted with the GH5, GH5s, G9, etc. So that's what we're going to focus on today, but in quick summary, I think I can safely say that Panasonic owners will be really happy with this gimbal. Quick shout out to Camera Canada who provided me with the Ronin-S. Funny story, despite my ongoing relationship with Camera Canada, I didn't actually know that they carried products like this, but I was pleasantly surprised about that, and also that they had a couple in stock, which has been harder to find in Canada here recently. So to any of my fellow Canadians that are looking for a gimbal like this, or any other products from DJI like drones, give Camera Canada a try. Links will be in the description below. Alright, so I'm not going to go into detail about the basics of this gimbal because, like I said, that's already been covered in other videos, so let's jump right into testing the follow focus and some of the other controls. So I'm going to do the demo on the G9 so that I can keep shooting this with the GH5, but as far as I could tell, they worked exactly the same, except for one small benefit to the G9, which I'll get into in just a minute. So the first step was obviously just unpack it, assemble it, and then balance it, which was reasonably easy and intuitive. Quick tip about that, by the way, if you're looking for the instruction manual or the other paperwork, they're actually hidden inside the bottom of the box, inside their own little black box that's fit inside this funky little recess in the bottom, and it's pretty hard to see. But anyway, once it's together, you'll find a few USB cables in the leather case. For the GH5, there's a USB-C version and a micro USB for the G9. There's also this little infrared cable that's used for cameras that don't function this way over USB. You just have to point the infrared sensor at the camera, and then it can communicate that way. Quick note on the weight, the Ronin-S can handle 3.6 kilos or 8 pounds, so pretty much any Panasonic mirrorless should be well under that weight. But another cool thing is that the carriage is large enough that it can even take a GH5 with a cage on it, which I thought was pretty cool. So you hook up the USB cable to the side of the base plate here, and then the other end goes into the USB port in your camera. And for anybody that didn't know, these longer USB 3 micro ports actually have a regular USB port within them, so you can just plug it in there, and you're pretty much good to go. Now, you definitely want to download the app, and another pro tip for Android users, you want to make sure that you get the DJI Ronin app and not the Ronin Assistant. The Assistant's just going to frustrate you and fail to connect to the gimbal, and you're going to be wondering what's going on, so make sure you get the DJI Ronin app. Once you have the app, you can finish initializing the gimbal, and then you can also use it to tweak your settings the way that you like them, and then you can also do some pretty cool shots with it, but we'll get to that at the end of the video. Now, once you're all configured, you should have operational control, which means that the record button will start and stop the recording, but it also doubles as an AF on when pressed halfway. This will work in all focusing modes, but if you drop into manual focus, then you can also use the focusing wheel on the side here. Now, this is of course the electronic variety, which means it's non-linear and a bit tedious, but that's Panasonic's fault and not DJI. But despite those limitations, I actually found the responsiveness to be pretty good and was impressed with its precision. And you can also hold this button on the side near the focusing wheel that changes the direction that the wheel operates, whether it goes from far to near or near to far. So set it to whatever you find most comfortable for you. Now, I recommend you update your firmware, which is done through your computer using the provided charging cable, and it's a good thing to do because they actually have quite a few releases already that add performance improvements and tweaks to different camera models, but mine worked for these Panasonic cameras right out of the box with no firmware updates. Now, the GH5, like I was saying, works exactly the same as the G9 except for one difference. The G9 can be charged over USB, which is great because the Ronin-S has a 2400 milliamp battery, which is good for like up to 12 hours, which means you probably have some juice to spare to donate to your camera if your camera is one of the ones that can be charged over USB. But the GH5 unfortunately does not have this feature. One thing I should also mention when it comes to USB connectivity is you want to set the camera to tether mode. If you have it on that computer USB mode, that's no bueno. So you want to go into the wrench and then go down to page 3, which might be on a different page for your camera, and then set the USB mode to PC tether. Now, one of the cool functions you can do with this gimbal that I said I would show you involves the app. So you want to go in, go to create, and then go to track. Oh, but if you go to the video button first, you actually get this cool little virtual joystick that you can use to control the gimbal remotely, and you can set the speeds and stuff like that, which I think is pretty cool. But anyway, if we go back and we go to this track option here, we can set our start point and our end point, And basically this will set a path for the gimbal to have predetermined movement. And up here under stop time, you can set that. That's how long it's going to stop and stay at the final location before ending the record. And then the move time is how long it will take to complete the action. And then we can just press record. But before that, if we want to test the motion at full speed, we can just press the play button and the gimbal will move from point A to point B. And then we can start it by setting it to position 1 and then pressing record. And when you do this, it will start recording on the camera. It'll make the movement over the duration of time that you set. And when it gets to its finished position, it'll stop and wait there for the amount of time that you set as well. And then when that time's up, it'll automatically turn off the recording on the camera. I think this is a really awesome feature, and I have so many great applications for this based on the type of shooting that I do. Now, as many of you know, and as much of this video would suggest, I use manual focus a lot, but for those examples I just showed you, I thought I would give the autofocus a try, and I was using settings similar to the ones that I've provided in previous videos I made on GH5 autofocus, and I have to say, I thought it held up pretty well. I was pretty satisfied with it. Overall, I think the DJI Ronin-S is the best gimbal to date in its weight class, and easily the best stabilization companion to the latest Panasonic series of cameras. But that's going to be it for me. I hope you found this video helpful, or at least entertaining, and if you did, make sure you leave it the old thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. But if you did not find this video helpful or entertaining, feel free to hit the dislike button twice. All right, I'm done.